Have you ever found yourself wondering which Denver neighborhoods locals actually warn their friends about? Well, after years in this market, having helped hundreds of people relocate here from out of state, I've seen way too many buyers go at it alone and end up in the wrong spot only to be selling a year later. So, in this video, I'm going to show you the top 7 Denver neighborhoods to absolutely avoid and what makes each one of these risky, whether it's crime, just a bad investment, traffic, or kind of a lifestyle mismatch if you're coming here from out of state, so you don't end up with buyer's remorse. Now, before we go picking on Denver, I think it's very important to note about what people think about bad neighborhoods. If you're from a large city, Chicago, LA, New York, Atlanta, none of these neighborhoods I'm going to mention even come close to what a bad neighborhood is like in a big city like that. But would I want my mom living in any of these neighborhoods? Nope. Number one, one of the areas I get most questioned about is how bad is Aurora? It gets a lot of attention in the media, but you should know that Aurora is a really, really big city. The population is about 400,000, where Denver is 700. And Aurora spans a ton of miles north to south, 20 to 30 miles. And there's parts of Aurora that sell for well over $1 million and have some of the best ranked schools in the state. And then there's North Aurora, also known as East Colfax. So, looking at a map here, Aurora is kind of highlighted in red, and it goes all the way almost up to the airport, all the way down almost to Parker, and everything in between. That's what I mean when I say Aurora spans a really, really long distance. Now, the area that gets most of the media attention is this chunk of Aurora right here, also known as East Colfax. And this is one of those areas that is probably going to catch your eye if you're looking here, because you can see a lot of houses in the 350 to 450 range and kind of think, hey, maybe this is the deal I've been looking for. But there is a reason for that. And I'm just going to shoot you straight. Right? This area has some real challenges. So, first off, crime is a big concern. This is a crime map of the city of Aurora, and you can see the hot red spots is just where there's going to be higher crime rates. It also ranks in the top 15 for violent crimes in the entire Denver metro area. Property crime is even higher. You've got a mix of older homes, right, built 50 to 100 years ago, a lot of transient housing, a lot of rentals, and there's not a whole lot of investment going back into the infrastructure or into these neighborhoods. And while, yes, it is technically close to everything, right? You're just a few miles east of downtown Denver. You've got Anschutz Medical Hospital right there. You've got I-70. You've got 225 just to the east. So while technically it's close to everything, this area does feel really, really rough. And if we try to not be subjective about it, right? Getting rid of our own opinions and head over to niche.com, where it rates things like housing, public schools, nightlife, diversity. It doesn't rate crime and safety here because it's too small of a niche area just north of Aurora, because South Aurora is a totally different thing. It doesn't rate very high on anything except for nightlife and diversity. Schools, yeah, not so great. Housing, it can be expensive. You could spend a couple grand even on a 2 or 3 bedroom single family home to rent, but at the same time, these areas are not going to be places you want to be walking your dog at night. Now, walkability is decent. You've got a lot of stuff close by because of that East Colfax corridor there. But bottom line is, I've had a lot of buyers get curious about this area because of the lower prices. But when they see it in person, it's pretty much a hard pass. So, unless you're an investor, or you have a very specific reason for wanting to be here, you should probably skip it. There's a bunch of better options that are nearby that give you way more value and a better day to day experience. Now, if you are someone who loves information and digging into the numbers, my name's Alex Saldana. I'm a local Denver agent. I have been since 2010, and I talk about real estate all day, every day. You can scan this QR code to get on my weekly email, or if you want to chat, just call me, text me below. I'll be happy to chat with you about any questions that you have about the Denver market. All right, heading on to number 2, we're going to combine 2 areas here, which are going to be Globeville and Elaria Swansea. And if you've never heard of these areas before, I don't blame you. You're not alone. Most people don't even realize these are neighborhoods because honestly, it's mostly industrial. And unless you specifically have to go to these areas, you just will not. So if we take a look at a map here, we can see Globeville is just north of downtown Denver. These diagonal streets are downtown Denver. Globeville is just to the north of it here. And Swansea is kind of this chunk north and south of I-70, just to the east there. But the proximity here does not equal lifestyle. This is right by the Denver Stock Show, and that would be great, right? And they're putting a lot of money into the infrastructure here to try to improve the area. But if you think that time is now, you're probably wrong. You probably got about a good 10, 15, 20 years before this entire area gets revitalized and changed. You're going to be surrounded by factories, rail yards, and highways. The I 70 expansion project basically carved this neighborhood up, and it's still a mess years later. There's tons of construction, there's lots of noise, lots of dust, and the air quality makes you want to keep your windows shut even on a nice day a lot of times. And heading over to niche.com again, we can see schools, yeah, not ranking that great. Housing, not so good. Good for families, not so good. Nightlife, sure, you're close to a lot of stuff. B plus for diversity. It's just not where most people think of being when they think of being in Denver. So again, unless you're an investor, you have a plan on turning this into a rental in a couple of years. Chasing price like this, unless you have to be this close to downtown, like there are some better options just almost 10 minutes in any other direction. Now, this next area, I know I'm going to get pushback on because it's been revitalizing for a number of years now, and the price tag is really high. But number three on our list is actually 5 Points. Because on the surface, it does check a lot of boxes. When you look at a map, 5 Points is kind of this section here where you have a 5 point intersection, hence the name 5 Points, right? Just like in New York. It is just outside of downtown Denver. And if we just hover over a few houses here, we can see 439. That's going to be on the very low end, 650, 660, 1.2 million. 274, 274 for a condo. This area is not exactly cheap. But if you're relocating, thinking, it's going to be way cool and you're going to have walkable everything, urban Denver dream, some streets, maybe, but you really might be disappointed depending on how much you can afford. First off, when you start digging into it, crime here is still an issue. You've got lots of new builds. You do have multi-million-dollar townhomes. You've got luxury apartments going up, but you have that all right next to some of the highest crime blocks in central Denver. And again, it's not the kind of place you want to walk around at night without being on high alert. And more than anything, if you're coming here from out of state and you're not spending a ton of time in this neighborhood, you might not know that it's very street by street specific. Some streets are great, and you're like, oh my God, this is an amazing neighborhood. And then you go literally one block over and you wonder what the heck just happened. And then you go another block over, and again, it's amazing. 5 Points really has some deep roots, right? It's got some amazing jazz history. There's some real charm in pockets of it. But as far as a place to call home right now, you've really got to know what you're getting into. And for most people moving to Denver for the lifestyle and long term value, I usually kind of steer them somewhere else. Number four, Old Commerce City. So if you're looking at a map and you're wondering how close you can be to Denver, you might think, hey, this could be a real steal. This is just north of downtown Denver. And when you look on a map here, you can see it's really close, 5-10 minutes from old downtown Denver. And you have a lot of homes here available in the $300,000 to $400,000 range. But first thing you're going to notice is the smell, depending on what day you're here. And that's not really a joke. You've got oil refineries, you have stockyards, you have industrial plants surrounding the entire area. And some days, again, the air quality is just flat out bad, like roll your windows up bad. Second, the homes here are pretty old, a lot of old miner style homes with not real foundations. And a lot of them are really rough around the edges. And we're talking 1950s, 60s ranches, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, 900 square feet, tons of chain link fences throughout the neighborhood, just kind of giving you this really old vibe to it. Completely inconsistent upkeep, lots of rentals, and some people have fixed up their places, right? And others haven't been touched in absolutely decades. You don't also have much in the way of walkability here in Old Commerce City. Restaurants, nightlife stuff, it's not really close by, and it is improving slowly once again. But if you're moving to Colorado for that active kind of mountain town energy, Old Commerce City isn't it. And checking out niche.com, public schools rank lower, housing lower, good for families lower, crime and safety lower, nightlife okay, diversity So depending on what you're needing to move to Old Commerce City for, if it's purely affordability, I completely get that. And this would be better than some of the areas that we've looked at. So I'll give it that credit. But again, would I want my mom living here? Probably not. All right, now heading to the southwest part of Denver proper. We've got number 5 on the list, Westwood. And this one is just southwest of downtown. So if we look on a map here, see downtown Denver here, and then just a couple of exits south on I-25, south of Colfax, we have the Westwood neighborhood over by Federal and Alameda. Um, they are some of the lower priced homes in Denver. You're going to see older ranches as low as even 300, right? And you might think, great, this is the next kind of up and coming spot. But once you actually drive through the neighborhood, you're going to start to understand why it's priced this way. It feels very boxy and odd. There's no real congruency. There's almost no curb appeal. A lot of homes haven't been touched or updated in decades. A lot of unpermitted work, kind of additions added just to fit for the family. It's kind of been an ignored part of Denver for a long time. Sidewalks cracked, missing, yards completely overgrown. A lot of them are street by street. Again, it depends. And there's a real lack of city investment here. You're not going to find a bunch of cute coffee shops or cute brunch spots. You're going to find pawn shops and car repair shops. I hate to say it, but that's what it is. Crime? Yep, they have it. And it's not just petty stuff. We've got a lot of violent crimes happen in this area. And if we head over to niche.com, we can see again, schools are not rated high, housing, even worse. Good for families, not so good. Crime and safety, it doesn't do it because it's too small of an area here. Nightlife, diversity, rank on the higher end. Um, but look, Westwood might see some good appreciation long term. Almost all the cheaper areas are going to. But if you're relocating here and want a move in ready experience with kind of a solid lifestyle with amenities nearby, this ain't it. There's better neighborhoods at similar price points where you have to be a little bit further out of the city, but you don't have to compromise nearly as much on the quality of life. All right, so heading a little bit further south, we're going to go to somewhere that most of you have probably never even heard of, even if you live here. That is Sheridan. Now, technically, it's its own city, but you're talking it's only like a handful of hundred houses. It's not a very big area. It's tucked up against Santa Fe and 285 on the southern end of Denver here, right next to Englewood. And again, you're going to see some attractive prices, but there's a reason for it. It's got some real trade offs that most people don't see until you're kind of deep into your home search. Schools consistently ranked near the bottom in the metro area. Crime higher than you'd want or expect from a little city. And when you drive through it, you're going to see a lot of uneven development. It kind of feels like an unincorporated odd sort of space. Doesn't really have a personality to it. Lots of junk cars, others have brand new builds trying to change the vibe, but it just doesn't feel cohesive whatsoever. Now, on top of that, it sits kind of on a major commercial corridor. So, yeah, you are close to 285 and Santa Fe, and you're not that far from downtown, but you're also right next to a ton of noise, traffic, and industrial areas. The homes are older, they're smaller, and most, of course, have not been updated. So, again, if you're an investor wanting to be here, long term growth might be great if you're going to turn it into a rental in a couple of years. But if you're looking for that Colorado lifestyle and vibe, not going to happen in Sheridan. And we can head over here to niche.com. Again, take a look at it. Public schools, housing, good for families, crime and safety, right? We're seeing this trend here. Now, before we get on to the final area in Denver that you should probably avoid, if you find yourself trying to figure out our market and you have a bunch of questions, just reach out, give me a call, shoot me a text message, or just get on my weekly email here, scan the QR code to get some of the best, most up to date information you can on the Denver market. All right, number 7 on our list, Montbello. We used to talk about Montbello more about 5 to 10 years ago. It has transformed a little bit and it has gotten a little bit better. But if you look on a map, the area we're talking about is northeast of Denver. So just north of that East Colfax stretch in Aurora. And it is a large neighborhood, mostly built in the 80s. And on a map, you're going to see affordable houses, right? 400, 500,000 for decent sized houses, 2 to 3,000 square foot houses. So this does actually check the box for a lot of people. If you had to pick one neighborhood to be in, because affordability was it, like 500,000 was the max, but you needed 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, like if Montbello, especially the northwest part of it, gets a little bit better, might be the way to go. You know, it's going to be hard to beat. But once you do start digging into the neighborhood, you're going to see crime stats, school ratings, general upkeep of houses. It's going to paint a similar picture to the other neighborhoods we've just been looking at, but the houses are going to be bigger. So there's kind of your trade off in what makes this an actual potential. So Montbello used to have one of the highest crime rates in the Denver metro area, not just property crime, but also violent crime, some gang activity. Repeat offenses have been an issue here for years. It has improved again, but it still makes kind of relocation clients pump the brakes when you start driving through Montbello. The homes themselves, a lot of them are dated again, block by block. Deferred maintenance is a big deal. And while some blocks have been cleaned up, right? You drive through it and you get a few neighbors that do stuff to the house, and it kind of has an effect on all the other neighbors. But then you have some blocks that have gone just completely downhill, and you really just don't want to be walking on them at all. And again, going over to niche.com here, the trend continues. Schools, housing, good for families, low on the list. And if we go back to our crime map here, we can see not so good. It's a little orange instead of deep red because it's trying to get better. But once again, would I want my mother living here? No, absolutely not. But fear not, all is not lost. And if you're wondering where you should actually live, you need to watch this video. It will answer all your worldly problems.